about the progression of our studio.
Let's get the build on. Can you help catch us? I guess you can put it close to us so they can hear what we're speaking about. But yeah, we was talking about this book. It's kind of like we're on our book club energy right now, right? It's a good book.
A
very
book
good
meet.
book. And we talking about taking words out of conversation that are not empowering. And even when we use empowering terms like choose or I chose, you know, it's like, yo, if he could go that soon, I can go that soon at any point. And it sounds selfish, but you have the right. You have the right to be selfish. The problem is we won't owe up to it. If we own the selfishness, then we won't be the type of ego that people look at in disdain. Because ego is positive. You know what I'm saying? Ego is self-esteem. You can look it up.
No, I think ego really is just it's basically a backlog of all of your experience.
Right? Let's get a backlog. I love the word is dope. That's some good wording.
If your ego is a backlog of all of your experiences and how you navigate your life, you have to go back in that backlog in order to interpret how to react to certain experiences, right? And so the ego is a really positive thing when you look at it in those terms, but the ego can become toxic when it gets
and let me say this about ego. This conversation transcends race. We talking about consciousness, just for the record. So we have who you would like to believe is a white man, and who you would like to believe is a Mexican, and who you would like to believe is a Dominican, and who you would like to believe is an African American. This conversation transcends race. So this might be over a lot of you guys' heads because some of you haven't even crossed the threshold of the race conversation. So you probably distract, yo, what is he saying? No, he's having a conversation with the white man and the Mexican man and the Dominican woman. All right, so we just want to put things, this is important for everyone to know because this is the only way the world is really going to move forward. Because the people who don't have our best interests at hand, they sit multiculturally at a round table to fuck up all of our lives. You feel what I'm saying? You feel me? Real talk, right? Real talk. So we got to start having our round tables. You know, people always tell me about the Illuminati. I'm like, yo, I create my own shit. Yeah. You know, I'm not worried about their world order. We could bring in our own new world order. Who says we have to accept someone else's plan? People always want to break down, and then they're planning to do this, and then they're going to make one centralized bank, and then they're going to do one world government. Yeah, but what are you going to do? What are we going to do? We can decide if we choose to opt out. Because none of that makes sense if people don't buy into it.
That's correct.
You see what I'm saying? We don't buy into it. How effective is it if it's just the people that rule?
You're taking power away from them.
Exactly. It's just if you buy into it. So I believe they disseminated a lot of their plans. They disseminated a lot of information about their plans to provoke fear in us and invoke a lesser majestic spirit about us to make us succumb to the whole concept of being overthrown, you know? Because a secret is not a secret unless at least two people know. Because if one person knows it, it's a mystery, it becomes my story. And when it perpetuates itself, it becomes his story, right? So I have to secrete it for it to become a secret. You know what I'm saying? Because if I tell you a secret, that's because, you know, it's privy to you and I or me and someone else. You know what I'm saying? And now that's starting to become history or gossip. And gossip, that's what history is. It's gossip. You know, told from the perspective of the people who control the narrative. You know, America had a war with Canada and they lost. We don't learn that in school yet.
I didn't even know that.
The Canadian and American war, they lost to the Canadians.
I didn't want to protect the land.
And we lost. You feel me? And also they created basketball. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but leave it up to us. It'd be like, yo, it's probably created somewhere in Brooklyn or something. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's about the narrative. You know, people write themselves in and write other people out of history all the time. You can't really trust too much of what's told to you when it comes to history.
Think about it, like you're talking about an individual ego. Right?
Oh man.
You have a collective ego, right? And so the whole world, at least our country, operates off of this ego that's a collective ego, and it was written by certain people that want us to view the world in a certain way and react to it in a certain way.
I agree.
So when we look at our history books, it's just our ego and how we perceive ourselves, you know. And so you got to be careful about whose ego you're reacting to your environment, basically.
There you go. Real talk. And it's all about being proactive or reactive. So we can look at a bottle of water and shake it, take the top off, and we will see the bubbles because it'll identify with the shake. But we can shake a bottle of soda and take the top off, and it'll react to the shake, not identify with it, but react to it. So one is reactionary. So it fizzes out, and when you put the top back on the soda and you put the top back on the water bottle, we see one has less of itself than it was prior to the shake. So the reactionary person is reminiscent to that of the person that says, hey, I acquired a new discipline, I've changed my life, you know, and I'm no longer going to do such and such. And then the moment of truth comes, because you have to be tested for any truth you bear witness to. You react to it, and overnight or in seconds, you lose everything you worked so hard to accumulate. By the time you calm down and you put your top back on, you're less than yourself and you have to build yourself back up.
That's true.
That's the reactionary soda. With the proactive water, you shake it up, it feels it, it identifies, you see the bubbles, but it never becomes less than itself. So we got to be in this world not becoming less than ourselves because of calculated adversity. I'm not even going to say just any adversity right now. I feel everything is, not everything, it's no absolute, but I believe as far as media is concerned, almost everything is a calculated adversity to get a reaction out of the masses, because they just don't put up anything amongst the host of things they can put up for everyone to see. You know, and that speaks again to a greater narrative about. But if you are blessed to be able to go through several schools of thought, we can't go through them all in one existence, but I was blessed to be mad at every race. I was blessed because now I have more profound perspective. Because now, not only was I mad at every race, including my own, I've had different opportunities at different levels to be espoused to conversations with them.
I gotta say that I admire a lot in you, that you were able to say, because a lot of people expected you to stay in that identity and say, this is not who I am.
Oh, yeah, they always ask for the old Polight.
I'm evolving.
That's what they do. We want the old Polight.
And you don't have to be the self that you were even 5 minutes ago. You don't owe that to anybody.
That's a fact. And you know what's deep? On one instance, I identify by how I look because of the oppression, right? There's oppressive forces. There's a mass repression of my people, right? And so that demands a sacred identity for the safety of my children, my family in general. Then there's another level of consciousness that stipulates a jellyfish doesn't have a brain. Now, why does that make any sense in this conversation? Because then now that tells me to be alive is technically different and distinct from being conscious. Because jellyfish have a purpose. They swallow up all the as many microbes as possible in the sea. In other words, many other organisms that rely on the foods in the sea to consume human beings and down or up, depending on how you see human beings, right? They wouldn't be able to live if jellyfish didn't exist in the sea to absorb the harmful microbes.
Definitely.
You know, ants burrow through the earth and create ventilation. You know, all of us are interconnected somehow on every level, every organism, right? So, unless it's man-made, then it's probably destructive or out of whack, right? However, it's on account to oppression, we're forced to identify with things that may be not as important as it would have been had there not been a certain scale of oppression. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if black people wasn't being so oppressed, how important would it be to say black power versus how important would it be to get humans together? You know what I'm saying? Like, if there was no oppression, you know, there was no need for the Mexican liberation or Independence Day, right? If there was no need from oppression, how much would you identify specifically with who and what you are? How much priority would it have been? So it's almost like, am I thinking what you want me to think about? You feel what I'm saying? Now, I'm proud. I'm proud of my big nose, my big lips and everything, you know, because I refuse to be insecure about it. I'm proud of the advantages I have being born the way I am, right? But then a jellyfish has no brain, though. But it's alive. So now, what is consciousness? It can't be that which is alive. So we know to be conscious is the ability to discern right from wrong. That's one. And that's the one that's spelled conscience or with science. And then to be conscious, the other spelling, right? That is the ability to be responsive to stimuli, right? So that part can work against us because I'm responsive to the stimulus of oppression. So now it's molding ideas around the response, like you was talking about. Now because the oppression is constantly coming, I'm generating a political or socio-political disposition of illusion in one sense, but very necessary and relevant in another. Because we can't disregard what's taking place physically. You feel what I'm saying?
Yes.
But it's not an absolute, and it's not a prerequisite to living.
Absolute. There is.
You know what I'm saying? It's not an absolute, and it's not prerequisite to living.
Exactly.
You know, unless someone thinks we were born on planet Earth to fight oppression, for some people to be the oppressors and other people to fight. You know, some people belong in that, but I'm smarter than that. You feel what I'm saying? I'm more smarter than that. So I refuse to be caught up in it. But I identify with it like water. I identify with the shake. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to be reactionary and do the bidding of the people that played the chess move, anticipating my response.
I would say that instead of using the word fighting the oppression, I would say maybe healing the oppression would be something I feel. Because fighting is going to create more, right? When you resist, persist. But if you heal it, the oppression, then I think there's power in that, I believe.
So you're feeling this round table talk.
Yo, it's real. And you know, drinking out of copper glasses. And these are things.
Paper straws.
I'm gonna take one more.
Yeah,
Paper straws.
Yeah. This is lit.
Riddles
So-
of plastic.
Yeah, and then that's another thing. Some people will never be privy to this level of information on account of two things. The lack of educational tools and resources for why this is so significant. When you go in a certain neighborhood, you get copper. You know, you get to drink your products out of copper or maybe even copper straws, right? And then in another instance is they haven't given themselves the opportunity to be espoused to this information. Nobody is in anything that they can't remove themselves from. I don't care what nobody
I think
says.
going back to the suppression thing, I think that like humans have an innate, because we think, therefore we are, right? A lot of people have
Right.
that mentality.
That's not right.
No, I know. A lot of people have that mentality. So let me elaborate on that. So since people think that because they think they are,
He's like, that's not right.
I'm like,
It can't
right?
be,
That's
because
not
the
right.
consciousness that speaks
here you go. Let me
into is not the
finish,
consciousness
right?
that
So
thinks.
He will elaborate.
So if people operate from that mentality, because we think, therefore we are,
Yes.
they have this idea that they need to identify with people that think the same,
Right.
right? So thank you.
Right.
So if we're just trying to
They're
find
really
people
feeling it.
that
They really
identify with who we are, just so that we can validate ourselves, then you become part of the problem, right? Because then you're isolating amongst this group of people that think and look or smell the same as you, whatever the case may be. You're looking for assimilation to validate your own existence.
That's a good point. A good
Right.
word right there, simulation.
So the trick is I think that to diffuse the idea of creating microcultures and things just to have something to identify to, and realizing that you're part of the collective and letting go of identity. Right? So as soon as you identify with something,
Letting go of identity.
yeah, as soon as you identify with something, all of a sudden you're not all these other things, which is not true because we're all of everything.
You are.
Right? You are.
Now, this is why I say schools of thought is important to the conversation, that understanding. It's about perspective. Because at the end of the day, we're going to love us some spaghetti, right? And we're going to accredit that to a certain culture. You know, I took my wife to New York and we had roti and doubles and sorrow with ginger, you know? And that happens because geographically, certain things only grow to cater specifically to the indigenous people that grow along with that land. You know, nature takes samples of your DNA every day and interprets what it is that you need as a group of people to thrive in that specific environment. So your apple's gonna be different, your banana's gonna be different, your mango's gonna be different. That's what is there to heal you.
I never thought about it.
And that's why when you kidnap people and you take them from one part of the place geographically into another, even when you have medicine for them, it won't be as conducive for them as the herbs that grew and correspond with the people indigenous to the same land. Because nature has taken your samples already. You know what I'm saying? Your excrement is supposed to be in that soil.
Pene tricolore with chicken?
That has to be in. Yeah. For the rest of us vegans. Yeah. Talk to me nice. Look at that. Second serving. Look at that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Man, we about to stop this bill. But yeah, so as far as identity is concerned, right? The thing about identity is interesting because a lot of times identity is necessary up until the point we start talking about race.
Thank you so much.
Then sometimes we might even be able to say it can be an insecure cry out. Either for things to just not be made distinct or special or unique. It's a perspective. The reason why I say that is, you know, if I'm entering the building, it might be befitting for me to have an identification system where I can have my eyes scanned to get in the building, or for the sake of law enforcement to know someone's fingerprint so we can track down a person that might have stole something, or DNA sample to know, you know, who did it in terms of rape, right? And so identity is important. So it comes a time where we have to study haplogroups and migrations of people and everything like that. So it's necessary. Identity is necessary. What was not necessary is oppressing another people out of insecurity because of inferiority complexes.
Amen.
That are birthed from identity all over again. So it's a paradox.
You know, where did oppression? I may be speaking wrong here, but
Nah,
where did
you
oppression
can't
really
speak wrong.
start?
We building. Oh yeah,
In my opinion,
my
it
man,
started-
world peace, peace, brother.
There's always been some form of oppression, but what really started the American oppression, right, is England, right? The crown of England.
Okay.
Right, and so I think it's King James, and I could be misspeaking, but had such a desire to impose his own views on his own people.
Yes.
That his own people said, "Fuck that, we're gonna go do our own thing," right? So that's really where it started, right? And so these people that wanted to be Protestant came across the ocean to settle over here and figure it out, and do their own thing. But the problem is they perpetuated it, right? So since their identity was being an oppressed person, they carried it and started oppressing more people. Instead of changing the behavior patterns, they went and oppressed more people because they were oppressing someone.
Well, I'll tell you this.
So I think it's important not to continue perpetuating the oppression.
And that's why I said there's levels to this. On even a microbial bacteria level, there's always going to be the war between the bad bacteria and the lactobacillus acidophilus, right? There's always a civil war. And all we do, we're a macrocosm of fibroid cysts that grow teeth and skulls.
Wow.
But that's another conversation. And that's called parthenogenesis, right? But we ain't gonna talk about that because people will call that pseudoscience or spooky. But I have my beliefs and it's just beliefs because I can't prove it. But I have things to corroborate. I have evidence to help corroborate my thesis, right? But my thing is this. We won the lotto. You had a 1 in 777 million chance of getting here. And you won. So by virtue of that fact, I don't want to hear nothing about life is hard. The hardest thing you ever had to do in terms of life was to get here. Everything else is easier. Everything is easier than that. Nothing can be harder than winning a race amongst 777 million sperm. With the body attempting to attack you, and where the woman has to create a membrane around the zygote, because if that membrane isn't created, she will terminate her own child. And that's why sometimes women have postpartum syndrome, because they still want to terminate the child even when the child is born outside of them. You feel what I'm saying? Where subconsciously their body, there's a mechanism like, I got to destroy this baby. I still got to get rid of this alien force because the sperm is treated like an alien force. You feel what I'm saying? So we won the race among 777 million and withstood the attack of the same body that we was looking to use as a host to come into this world. And now we're behaving like the planet Earth is a host. And we're acting like alien forces, not giving a hell about the planet. You know what I'm saying? We busy worried about our situation. But we over here, when we destroy each other, we destroy the planet. You feel what I'm saying? And so I just don't believe in being oppressed for that very point, because how could I, on that scale of existence with the flagella there, you know what I'm saying? How could I, on a tadpole-like scale of existence, win the lottery like that? And then the next question is there causal determinism? You know what I'm saying? Or is there randomism? You know, was we supposed to be here? Or is this shit all luck and chance? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you get here? No, you got here because you had the tools and the resources to get here. So in one sense, you got here because you willed yourself to be here. Then you come out here and you think you can't get out of poverty. And you think you can't set up a store. You think you can't pay your rent. Yo, the day I realized all that shit was an illusion, I made $1 million. And I made another one. And because I'm still under the illusion, I've yet to make more millions. Because I'm still under the illusion. Every time I tear down illusion, because that's important to me, to make money. So what's important to me, I realize I'm still suffering from the illusion because I haven't made as much as my potential stipulates I can. Because I'm smarter, let me say this, I'm more intelligent than the people that have millions. And I don't care if they use deceit to get there. I'm smarter than them, so I should have more. That's what I tell myself. And I'm not letting no one tell me otherwise. You feel me? That's just the way we gotta walk around. So that's consciousness. That's, you know what? You can't buy me to none of that racist stuff. I can tap in and let the homies in them know, yo, Black Power, you got my support. You know, because I understand the forces that be, and that's not right. But that's not gonna preoccupy my thinking. That might only account for 5% of my thinking during the day. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be consumed by that because I'm on a different level of consciousness, because I am not the oppressed and I am not a slave. I'm something totally different from what people categorize humans as. And I just walk around with that disposition, and it gets me to the next level every day. You walking with me? I'm just in a different space mentally. I don't accept nothing. I don't accept failure. You know, it's always a undertaking that I can learn from. I don't accept no weak thinking. I just don't. And I don't accept it from my wives either. If my wife here talks some stuff and I think it's weak, I'm like, yo, do you know your potential? I get on her, she'll tell you. And she'll beef with me and argue with me and fight with me.
I really like that response. Do you know your potential?
That's right. There's nothing you can't do. And the fact you're using can't and I won't, and I'm like, yo, that is more of a curse word than motherfucking bitch and slut and hoe.
That's true.
Yeah.
Can't and won't and try. Those are curse words in my house. I would rather you call me a bitch before you tell me what you can't do. Because if you, because if you can't do something, that means I can't do it either.
Right.
So you just curse me with your spell of words you just casted on me. You know what I'm saying? If you can't do it, I can't do it. So I don't even want to be in the same space as someone who would suggest to me they're incapable of doing something that I should also be capable of doing. They're hindering me with that thought process. Because if I buy into the fact that you can't do something that every human should be able to do unless their mental faculty is compromised, then I'm grief-stricken by that. And now I have to consider if there are things similar to that experience that I can't do. Oh, I can never do this. Or I can never do. No. You do what's necessary. You do what is suffice. Are you willing to do what's necessary? That's the question. See, we want the rain, but we don't want the mud that it comes with. You walking with me?
Unless you have a big ass truck, and then it's a lot of fun.
That's the
That
innovation.
is actually true. That's actually true.
That's the innovative aspect of it. You feel me?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, you want the rain, but you don't want the mud. You know, everybody wants the flowers. You know? But I understand to be successful, it comes with success comes with a lot of terms and conditions that's written in small print. You know, we didn't know to be successful, we would have to separate ourselves from friends and family. That's the small print. We didn't know when you become successful, friends and family want to bond with you closer and do things that demand a separation from them.
Right.
Think about that shit. When you become successful, friends and family want to bond to you closer and do things that demands a separation from them. Yeah. It's so much enmity, man, and malice that comes with being successful. That sometimes it'll just make you be conform. Like, it'll make you suffer the consequence of conformity, which is what we learned in the mind book, or your potential. The opposite of courage is what? Conformity. Not being a coward. Conformity. Doing with it. The inability to say, I see a whole bunch of fish, a school of fish going down that stream, and I'm gonna be the fish that follows. Like, I play a video game, it's a role-playing game. First thing I do is I walk backwards and see if I can pick something up that you can't see from the screen. I'm always looking for the hidden code. You know what I'm saying? I can't never finish a board. People that watch me play a role-playing game go crazy because I check everything every inch of the way. I can't finish the damn game. I'm gonna find all the secrets. I'm not gonna walk by and not see the Easter eggs. That's my mentality. You know, that's my personality. That goes back to the person that builds the real house versus the person that builds the toy house. But both of them are on the same level, figuratively speaking. But the person that builds the toy house sees 2 screws left, and they don't reconcile within themselves that, you know what, I need to deconstruct this house and rebuild it because I had 2 screws left. No, they just say the house is good. That same behavior manifests in other scenarios in life where they leave things unnoticed because they're lazy or they're fatigued. You just got close to the finish line and now you get lazy. Yo, fam, you actually fought to get into this existence. Whatever that force was that drove you during that insemination process, right? That gestational process, whatever force that made you assist in your mother pushing you out into this world. How dare you be lazy and less than aggressive when it comes to anything you conceive to be? I'm going after everything I want on this planet because who knows, this might be my last go around here. And I'm not going out like a sucker. I'm not fighting amongst all those sperm to get here, fighting against the woman's body to destroy me. Finally make it here. The doctors want to give me vaccines and everything. Compromise me by the time I'm 30, 40 years old. Be born in poverty. You know what I'm saying? And finally see the light of day and have the ability to realize I need to read things, to upgrade my thinking, to have that ability to just come to that point in your life. I need to learn more stuff. And the people I'm around are not good enough. To even come to that conclusion in life and then get lazy. Man, you deserve whatever you get.
You do deserve.
That's a fact. If you're poor, it's because of you. I don't give a hell what nobody say. If you're poor, it's because of you. You got to accept responsibility.
Huh? Oh yeah. No problem. That's correct.
Yeah. I'm gonna close out. I want my food to get cold. Cause they love the bill. It's my man Sade. It's my man Hugo. And if you like this type of builds, man, we'll do more of them. This was dope. Super dope, man. It's good. You're not gonna gain perspective, isolate yourself from other people on planet Earth. You'd be surprised. And I think people do that out of fear because they want to hold on to the relics of old other people's ideals.
Want to hold on to their ego.
Because you might find out you might have to let that stuff go. And I'm gonna tell you this, at every level you have to let things go. At every level of learning, like we say, the more you learn, the less you know. If you continuously learn, you're gonna continuously change, adapt, and make adjustments. And if, like Muhammad Ali said, not a direct quote, but if you're the same way you was 10 years ago, something's horribly wrong. You know what I'm saying? Word. Yeah, Conscious Language is a dope book. You know, we gotta keep it 100, man. You know, when there's a great piece of work out there, it's great. We gotta share it with each other. Yes, love it. Do more. Yeah, there we go. That's Linda.
Jeez.
You know, look what you did with your hands.
That's funny.
She did this with her hands just now, and it happened the same time. That's crazy. Look at that. That's wild. Yeah, we'll do it. But yeah, we're gonna do a linguistic fast. We're gonna do a stream on linguistic fasting.
Yes.
And let's remove certain words and phraseologies and keep building them up. Like, I went through a fast where I stopped referring to people as body parts because I realized it created a group in my mind that suggested that sex was a negative thing. So when we get mad at each other, we say things like dickhead, asshole, yo, he's pussy. You know what I'm saying? And we say these things with sexual connotations around it, right? And we degrade each other by using our private parts, which would intimate that something's wrong with those private parts, which takes us to another narrative that something's wrong with sex, and now we back in the Garden of Eden. So I look at that, and I went on a linguistic fast, and I said I'm gonna stop calling people assholes, and stop calling them pussies, and stop calling them dickheads, and you know, all that other stuff that's associated with our body parts, as though, you know, what would make me so mad at somebody that I would deject them for the very thing that I love on planet Earth? I love pussy. So why would I call my enemy pussy? You know what I'm saying? Why? Because
So here's a question.
if I keep calling my enemy,
What'd you say?
The question is, did your sex get better?
yeah, you see, yeah, sex is definitely better in my consciousness, because guess what? You won't appreciate the pussy if you also identify your enemy as such. There's no way the two can run concurrent. And if you find yourself chanting the word pussy only when you're angry, like how many times have you been happy and just said pussy? You don't do that. But when you're angry, yo, that nigga's pussy. That's what you do. You feel me? So now you got a negative association to the word pussy, a negative association to the word dickhead, dick, you know? And then, you know, or we say, yo, he's acting stupid, he has something up his ass, or yo, you a faggot. It's always sexually related.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it speaks to another narrative where we're insecure about our private parts, right? Just like when we use the bathroom, as men, we wash our hands after we use the bathroom, as though our penis isn't worthy enough for us to wash our hands first before touching it after dealing with the outside world.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
oh, you know what we do? Oh shit, I just touched my penis. Let me wash my hands.
After the fact.
Not, I've just been exposed to all the world. Let me wash before I touch my penis. So the penis is supposed to be sacred, but you know what? We looked at ancient cultures. And we mocked and ridiculed them for erecting edifices that emulated our body parts, whether it be the domes with the nipple on the top, the dome-shaped mosque, White House, you know, Dar Baydar, the old capital of Morocco, home white home, or the all those obelisks or Tafino, you know, around the world, which emulates the penis, the Washington Monument. You feel me? So we made fun of them and we called them perverts, right? But they respected their genitalia. We don't. We use our genitalia to cast negative affirmations at each other. And we wash our hands only after dealing with the outside world. It's just thoughts, you know what I'm saying? It could be true, it could be false, but so long as you thinking, man, you walking. Because you ain't gonna move your legs unless you get the incentive to do so from something else. Yeah, word. Real talk. Peace to my brother Meta World Peace. Peace to you. Man, he in there. Things that make you go,
On God.
Damn, washing the hands, probably urinate makes incredible sense. Yeah, so you know, we're in this westernized culture, and these things are not prerequisite to our evolution. You know, it's not customary for us to consider these things. And you know, this is why I only like to associate with people that like vibrating higher, because otherwise you'll be looked upon like you're nuts for saying simple things. People look at you like, yo, he just be doing too much thinking. How the heck can anyone with a mind do too much thinking?
Too much.
Right? You can't do too much thinking. Now, you might overthink a situation in particular, but whose right is it to tell you you're overthinking anything? You know, the person who says the person who doesn't want you to think.
I get the sense that I overthink some shit.
Say it again?
So I get the sense that I overthink some shit a lot.
Hey.
To my own detriment.
But you know, I always tell people I live in my head. So I say I got 5% of my existence is in this physical world. The other 95% be up here. I spend most of my time in my head. My lips might even start moving sometimes, be by myself. I spend my time up here. You know, when you get into people's head, man, you got real estate there. Then they can foreclose on your mind. And that's why they call the houses of the zodiac houses. You know, do you own your house? Are you paying rent in your house? Or are you dealing with a foreclosure? You know what I'm saying? Do you control your mental faculties or not? How can this man speak on my very silent thoughts? A man with my thinking. Peace to the family, man. I love you guys. My money grow every time I listen to you. That's what's up. I appreciate that. Yes. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna build with the team. We're gonna get it in. Thank y'all for listening. Say bye, wife. She's stuffing her face. I love those awkward moments.
Peace.
Yeah, word. I'm not gonna have them blow your kiss, but peace.